Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody joining the crew. We got just one drink that we rule them all. Cookie fruit, remember your towel. Get your Ulu fingers and your Middle gun. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Usually when Steve it will get you to come. To the pit tank. To the pit tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
And this is Geek Tank.
You're changing out of your street clothes into your superhero clothes in a phone booth-sized podcast.
So today we're going to talk with a special guest from another podcast, David Coile, who we can just bring in. There he is.
Like
look at that. He's here. He's here.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, welcome to the show, David.
Hello, Dave.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on. You can call me Dave. David, Davilicious. You can call me that too.
Or by your full Christian
name. We can call you anything, but just not like
dinner.
Gotcha.
Dave. Well, don't forget the comma.
Oh,
Dave,
yeah, comma.
Dave, comma. You know, it's sort of like a symbol like Prince used to have, right?
Somewhere out there's someone probably actually named David, comma.
Yeah, there probably is. And I have a name very close to that. It's David Coile. And you know, there was and a comma is almost like not quite a coil, but it's going that way. So like it was actually a couple generations ago, they were just called David, comma. Started out as David, you know, straight line. Then it became David, comma, and now it's David Coile. Soon enough, you know, a couple generations, it'll be David Spiral.
If you you're also a musician, if you ever do like a remix of your own song,
David, comma,
like you redo your own songs, you could call it Recoiled.
Indeed, that's right. So
tell us, David, about this podcast, Heroic Origins.
Well, so I got together with my friend Terrence. You know, during the pandemic, you know, it's all kind of a way, you know, trying to find out ways to stay in touch with everybody, and you know, when you can't meet in person. And so my friend Terrence and I, we just decided that we were going to do a podcast where we brainstorm a new superhero every week. I mean, we love doing that anyway. We've tried multiple times over the years, not terribly successfully, but we've tried over the years to try to make up comic book characters and do series and that sort of stuff. Terrence tends to stick to it more than me, but it's something that we talk about all the time. And we were trying to find out something that we could kind of debate as well, because we oftentimes have entertaining debates, and I thought arguing over superheroes and whatnot might be the way to go. Ironically, we actually don't argue half as much as I expected, but we have a really, really fun time kind of brainstorming characters, and it's all based on what we try to add a random element to it. So what we do is we start off with a random word that we get from a random word generator online, and then we have a couple regulation brainstorming time frames that we try to come up with stuff. And we have an outline that we try to fill out, which is, you know, just name and powers and, you know, supporting characters, arch nemesis, just the character psychology, that sort of thing. And we end up coming up with some, I think, some really interesting characters, and oftentimes surprising characters. They're not all variations on Superman or anything like that. And what's more, for season 2, which is coming up this Monday, actually will be the first episode of season 2. We're going to have guests, and on the second episode of season 2 of the Heroic Origins podcast, I'm going to have Troy, your very own Troy Fleur, as a guest, and we came up. You were there, yeah. I know you may not remember. Part of our power, you know, like Men in Black, where they can wipe your memories.
Right. Yeah. I got flashy thingy.
Yeah, exactly. So Troy, get ready. On March 5th, we're going to be releasing the episode. That's right, Guy. We're going to be releasing the episode where you help us brainstorm I'm not even going to say what you helped us brainstorm.
No, they'll have to tune in to find out what craziness my mind came up with and help include in that.
It is, but we all work together
in the first place.
Mm-hmm. It involved pregnant women. I'll just say that.
Right.
So my lips are sealed. My lips are sealed.
All right. Well, cool. I'm looking forward. You're going to run Guy and I through the process and
exactly
character. Also, I'd like to add, you also in the show, you have a little break in between where you and Terrence discuss some aspect of superheroes where you compare like your favorite villain or hero team, or it's like a different category each time that you guys
exactly. Yeah. I think we've talked about like what was the best superhero movie, who was the worst superhero sidekick. Or the best superhero sidekick. The worst superhero sidekick. Yeah, we go through what we've been doing is trying to with guests coming on. We're actually asking the guests to give us an idea of what they might want to talk about. And sometimes we're trying to say who's best, worst, or do a list of something. Other times it's just a general conversation.
Right.
But
like
lesson. We call it the superhero sidebar.
That's it. Thank you.
And if something goes horribly wrong with our recording schedule, sometimes we'll do an episode that's completely a superhero sidebar and just riff on it. But we've mostly stayed. Well, I say that we mostly stayed on top of it after we've had a 3-month hiatus. But we're back on schedule. Oh, because we did after for season 1, what we ended up doing was we brought together. We did a little radio play, which both of you co-starred in, and thank you, all 3 of us here. We all played different characters, and thank you so much for being a part of that. And it was a much bigger project than Terrence and I were expecting, and it ended up taking us a couple months to get it done, and we didn't want to go forward. That's why season 2 is just starting to come out. So if we do any special crossover events like that in the future, we're going to make it a little bit more manageable so we don't get off schedule. Yeah.
Well, a big part of that too was you had every part individually, so you had to edit the entire thing together, as opposed to where preferably we would have been together in the same studio and at least been able to do some of the segments, together, and you wouldn't have had to edit it all.
That that I would say editing the voices together, that was probably the easiest thing. Oh. It was more the though that was time consuming, absolutely, and it would have been easier if we had been in the same room. We had so many different people on that it wasn't really, it didn't seem feasible schedule wise. But the really tough thing was more the sound effects. That sound effects editing, because there were just a lot of different tracks.
Right.
And I gave it a good old college try. I edited the voices together. That was, like I said, that wasn't too much trouble. The sound effects, the way that my editing suite was set up made it, I had never done anything quite that large before. And that created a lot of hoops to jump through. I burnt out on it, so I finally gave it to Terrence, who has a much less time to do that sort of thing, but he's a lot more experienced at that sort of thing. And he ended up taking what I had done and finishing it up and doing I should have given it to him to begin with. I shouldn't have been stubborn and tried to do it myself, because he had a really great ear for that kind of thing. The other thing was this: is we probably, if we do it in the future, I'm going to have more narration in it. I think we were trying to make those. We were trying to be clever and change, one location to another just by changing the sound. And we were thinking that everybody would be able to figure that out. But then there's a lot of times where those locations overlap with each other, and it gets, I don't know. But anyway, it's really fun.
Yeah.
Let me. I don't want to tell you all the bad stuff. The good stuff is that it's a rip-roaring good time. It'll take you to a different place. You get to hear all these characters that have different powers, and you may be completely confused. I don't know, but you're going to have a fun time listening to it.
I think it was a good way to end the season, because anybody following the season already knows all these characters.
That's right.
I think if you were to just listen to it by itself, though, you'd be completely lost.
I think we do have a little recap at the very beginning that talks about the characters, but yeah, it helps to actually follow. So but that's the thing, if you're somebody who likes the basic program and follows it, it's a great reward. It's a great reward.
Well, cool. Well, why don't you get us started and tell us the initial setup and the rules that you would like us to follow?
All right, guys, it's collaborating time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by looking up some weird words. And we're going to decide what weird word we want to do. Now, there's 3 of us, so I'm going to pull up 3 different words. Well, I'll pull up a word one at a time, but each of us has a veto. Okay? So let me pull up a weird word. Appersonation. Appersonation is APPERSONATION. And that is the irrational belief that one is another person. So now, if you like that, if that stimulates you, we can just start right there. But if you want to hear another choice, we can do another option.
I think the only thing throwing me off on that one is it immediately has like a couple of pre-existing characters pop into mind.
Sure.
And that's the only reason why that's even slightly making me think we should hear the next one.
Okay.
But if we go with it, I don't want to say what I'm thinking of because I wouldn't want to color.
That's right. Hold it.
Stuff.
Hold any. We don't want to do anything other than just deciding what word we're going to work with. So
right.
So let's do it. Let's get a second word here. Second word is cella, or maybe cella because it's spelled kind of like cello, but it's CELLA. It's the inner chamber of a classical temple. That would be cella.
I wonder if that's the origin of the words for cello.
That's I can't help but think that it might be. Why don't we look at a third word here just to get them all on the table there, and we can decide from those 3 words. This one is anonymous. It's like anonymous, just anonymous, and it means bearing the author's name. So that makes sense.
Guy's a fan of animation.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a fan of onomatopoeia. That's where the author's name is actually just. Hi, I'm Michael.
He writes.
So there we go. We got 3 choices here: appersonation, which is the irrational belief that one is another person; cella, which is the inner chamber of a classical temple; or anonymous, bearing the author's name. What do you guys think?
I
don't.
Well, actually, I have one for all 3 of them. So
interesting.
Okay. Well, this is. What we could do is we could try to put them all together. I mean, actually, anonymous and appersonation go together.
Well, I mean, are we going to invent superheroes for each, or are we going?
No,
to...
just one. We're gonna
just one.
We're going to riff off of the word to build some characters. So that all it is that the superhero that we create is going to have to tie into that either that word or the definition in some fashion.
Okay.
I think anonymous would be more of a challenge out of the 3, which is what's attracting me to it.
Let's do it then. You want to? To me, it's like the weirder the better because it forces us to come up with something that hasn't been come up with before.
Yeah, I think as a root starting place for a word to create a superhero, out of the 3 of those, I feel like that's the more challenging one. So that's what's attracting me to it.
What do you think, Guy?
I'm good.
You're on board?
I'm down with it. I like play the ball where it lies when it comes to random stuff. So
all right. Well,
I will do whatever it takes. I would have taken impersonation just because of the first one.
Well, yeah, I think Guy's rules would be you get what you get and you don't get to veto.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I'm good with any of them.
Okay. Well, we could have gone with the first one, but that's
that's all right. I'm good with anonymous.
Well, since we're skipping it, I'll tell you now. Immediately popped into my mind, superhero related, is the character from Legion, which is one of my favorite TV shows, and then also, of course, Fight Club popped into mind.
God! So many people with so many characters,
and,
fictional characters with irrational beliefs of who they are.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to steer away from it because I feel like it's been done. Whereas anonymous, I can't recall of any pre-existing characters, so that seems cooler to me.
In Cella, I thought of where the superhero draws power from a stone that is in the inner chamber of their temple.
Oh yeah, those are both great.
Or the superhero that had the really horrible concert, Coachella, right?
You're right, exactly. There'd be cellists.
You punsters, you. This is I don't know. I haven't been on before, so you don't know that. I have this. puns get to me. They're like weaponized forms of humor. And in fact, I believe there's something psychologically going on differently in people's brains when they hear a pun. And I wish there was a scientific study on it, because it seems like most humor, you may not like it, but it doesn't make you grit your teeth and feel pain. But puns do. And this is the thing about a pun. A good pun makes you feel more pain. There's something going on with puns. It's just, I think they should just fight wars with puns. And whoever makes the other side groan the most wins.
Whichever side just quits.
Yeah,
they tap out. No, you're not the only person. I know another person who just despises puns. So I put the safety on my pun weapon around.
I don't despise them. I just despise you, Troy. So okay,
that's fair.
So why don't we start this here? I'm going to set my nifty little timer here.
All right. It's called a phone.
It's called a phone, but it has a timer function. See, this is software, which we call a timer. So it's both a phone and a timer, Troy. I'm glad you pointed that out.
But if you hit someone with it, it's hardware. A femur.
Timer.
Oh, a fimer.
A fimer.
Okay. We're just going to
Timer. Fimer.
Okay, so how much time do we get?
15 minutes. So we're gonna do. Normally we would do 2 brainstorming sessions, but we're just gonna do 1 for this. So we're gonna have 15 minutes, and then if we do have like some major gaps, we can do a couple lightning rounds to show people what that's like.
And major gap is the British superhero who helps people get onto the subway.
See, we've already invented like 4 superheroes. This is you guys are perfect for this. All right, so we are on the clock. Collaborating time has begun. So I'm going to tell you straightforward. For me, Onimus, I'm thinking of I'm almost thinking like kind of voodoo. It's sort of like if you put your name on, like you're the voodoo doll. And if you put your name on, like somebody else's name on you, then maybe you have some control over that person. But that's just the first. This is a free-form brainstorm. So what are you guys thinking?
So my thought is he could be called the Stan. It's a Marvel superhero, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would be like his superhero name right there.
Oh, like Stan Lee. We're talking to like Stan Lee. So he's the author of Marvel Comics.
He's bearing the author's name, not literally.
Not like Stan, or we could go this direction, but like Stan is now slang for somebody who's kind of like a super fan, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
So maybe he could be a super fan.
So yeah, a reference to an Eminem song, "Stan," is about an obsessed fan named Stan. So yeah, it has become a thing of like the super fan is Stan. So I like the direction this is going because the word "super" is already in there.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to? So is the person's real name Stan and his name is Superfan? His hero name is Superfan?
It'd be weird if his real name was Superfan.
Yeah, because then he'd have to twirl really fast and make wind go different directions.
Well, that could be actually that would be interesting. I like the see, since you're so pun worthy, then maybe we should do that. The character's name is Superfan, and he has powers of wind creation, but he's also got this irrational obsession with like not Taylor Swift, but Taylor.
No, it should be an obsession of superheroes and villains. He should be a super fan of the current universes. He's like a walking encyclopedia on all superheroes and villains.
Okay.
You know what we could call him is we could call him Lee Stan.
Lee Stan.
So
I love that.
His last name is Stan.
We got the hero's name is Superfan. Lee Stan is the character's name. We've got psychology going on. So the psychology is that this character he's a super fan of heroes and villains.
Yeah, he's if it's information that can be gotten, he probably knows it. So or she, it could be a she as well. So this would be
actually with Lee Stan. It could be she could be Asian, and
that's
true. It could be a female, and that'd be L-I instead of L-E-E.
That's true.
And going with guys' rules, it has to be a female.
Okay,
right. Otherwise, I couldn't play the character in a role-playing game.
Right.
Okay. So Lee Stan,
Like this would be the character who would know what each of the different colored of kryptonite would do to Superman. They would have this knowledge.
Exactly.
Like super detailed knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, did we decide the powers are wind based? Are they blow based?
Yeah, wind based.
I think maybe it's gadgets, and she uses different sized fans for things, and she calls them her. She can call them her props.
Is it a spinning
her
fan?
Props, yep.
Is it a spinning fan, or is it more like those
handheld fans? Yeah,
handheld fans, because then you can fly with them. You can make them big and make wings and stuff.
It should be all of them. Anything that is a fan, she can use.
Anything fan related, yeah.
Fan related, she can pull out the fans that she like. They give her little fans at like different events or whatever. She can use those.
The steel fans used in Kung Fu.
So fan related gadgets.
Kung Fu.
So there's no powers. There are no powers. Just these gadgets. They're the fan related gadgets. So you've got you can create. Let's see. Create wind. Wind can fly. Let's see. What else can you do with these? You can use them as bladed weapons. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, bladed weapons.
Okay. Bladed weapons. Okay. What other kind of things can you do with a fan? I guess. Well, what? Okay, so let's think of the appearance then. If this is,
she can generate power because she could turn the fans around, and with wind generate power.
Oh, and if you have spinning coils, you can create is it electrical field? Generate power, create
electrical field,
wind turbine.
And so this person's really kind of a. So is she a scientist then?
Maybe she should have just have it a nod towards Guy. Maybe she really wanted to work for NASA, but couldn't quite cut it.
This is a background thing,
right?
Because most of her knowledge in her brain got stored with all this information on superheroes and villains. She wasn't able to
exactly
store
so many episodes
she went off
of superheroes.
Too much on what this went off so many flights of fancy that she couldn't cut it.
Couldn't stay.
Though I would think that there's a lot of I suspect there's a lot of people that geek out in NASA. I wouldn't think it would be that out of the ordinary, would you?
Well, maybe she had attention deficit disorder for a while.
Okay.
Undiagnosed.
Wanted to work for NASA. Okay, so that goes to psychology here. So that's attention deficit disorder. Okay.
So she's off her medication. She forgets things and can't remember schedules and stuff like that. Poor kid.
Well, that makes sense.
Feel for her, man.
A superhero actually would focus you, right? If you've got ADHD.
Well, if it's something you're really passionate about too, it's easier to keep the focus on.
I mean, she can rattle off all these facts about stuff, but man, she couldn't make it to work every day. I totally get this.
This is great. Okay. So okay, so what is this so if this person was trying out for NASA, is she an astrophysicist? What is she? An engineer? Rocket scientist?
No, it's all of those things have to be just like she really
wanted to get her PhD but failed. So she was almost
she was an admin. I mean, she was trying out. She wanted to be an administrative assistant at NASA. What was her?
No. I think she would have gunned for. I mean, Troy is kind of basing her off of me, so gunning for the idea of being a PhD, having a doctorate, and then just
engineer
things got in the way, and then finally you realize, well, that didn't work. So
the person has a PhD or doesn't have a PhD?
Doesn't try to, but does not.
Okay, but so a master's.
And in fact, we can base a little
maybe
bit
a bachelor's. She's still
a bachelor's.
Yeah,
a bachelor's of science. Okay.
We could say there was like just one,
and it's going to be
it's
going to be bachelor's of science in like culinary arts or something. It's just not even related.
That's not science. Bachelor of Arts then, or bachelor. It'd be maybe there is like culinary science. A bachelor.
Maybe she's got a computer science degree. Let's give her. I mean, I could have gotten a computer science degree.
Okay,
so bachelor's of science, computers.
Well, this is the thing, guys. She created all these fan things, so she must be like an engineer.
Have something going for her,
right?
Why don't we say an engineer? Unless she has, but we haven't talked about supporting characters. The other possibility is that she's maybe like good at design, but she needs somebody to build the stuff for her.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what she is. She's a
She has a
designer.
Q in her life.
She's like a computer science and like design, like and design, and yeah. But she could design these weapons. But let's say we need a supporting character. So who's her supporting character that kind of balances her and makes up for the ADHD and the lack of focus?
Who's the equivalent of Stan Lee for DC?
Jack
Oh
Kirby.
wait, this is
Jack
Geek
Kirby.
Tank. You know who it should be?
Who?
It should be, yeah. Well, no, this is Geek Tank. It should be her mom.
Can we call her? Can we call her mom Kirby?
Yes.
Jacqueline
mom's
Kirby.
called
Or
Kirby.
Jacqueline Kirby or
Jacqueline
yeah.
Kirby.
Okay, Jacqueline Kirby.
And that's her maiden name.
Her mom.
Vermont. Yeah, okay, her maiden name. That's a good point.
So when someone asks,
Well,
who
could
made
be-
that for you? Who your mom? So,
well, let's say it's her stepmom.
My mom.
my mom.
Your mom.
Do we want to
No,
say
it's
your
not stepmom. It has to be her actual mom. Otherwise,
actual,
it's a good
yeah,
Geek Tank
biological
joke.
mom.
her mom?
Her
But
mom.
her. So
mom.
why does she? But this is like we want to indulge in this. Why does she have a different last name?
Well,
Is
Oh,
she married?
Either
Do
she
we? I
could
mean,
be
or was it her parents split and?
parents split.
So like Jacqueline
she-
Kirby is the name. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, she could be adopted. She could be, all kinds of stuff. Who knows?
Well,
I mean, I
maybe
guess
her father's last name was Stan, and Jacqueline Kirby was her maiden name, and she went back to her
Right.
maiden name.
yeah.
So
There
her
we go.
father. So is the father still alive?
Unknown.
Yeah, usually they would be if they. I mean, they'd have to be because if they die, people tend to keep the name out of respect.
Yeah.
Unless they died after they divorced. So
Yeah. So what's
You know,
the well? So
people
the father,
don't tend to change. It's kind of a pain in the butt to change your name. So
Okay,
as we have learned in our family.
This is getting deep. The real reasons won't be this, but her mom told her that her dad became a supervillain and left, but he's like he keeps his
Oh,
but she's lying. He's not really a supervillain. He's just just left because
so that's why she's a
and that's
super
why
fan.
that's why she became a super fan and started digging up all this information because she wanted to try to find information on her dad.
So her dad.
Oh man, that's
basically-
good. I like that. That's rich.
So her dad
Man,
ran away.
I actually kind of want to play this character now.
And one of the big reveals would be when she finds out her dad's not really a supervillain, but she won't believe him. She'll think that he's just trying to keep his cover when she confronts
Right.
him.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
That's got to be like her bag or her nemesis. Is her dad?
What is it? Is it her dad, or is it her dad's new girlfriend, who is a supervillain?
Ooh, even better.
And her dad doesn't know it.
Her dad doesn't know that. Her dad doesn't know that he's dating a supervillain. So who's
Right.
who's the? So let's see here. Okay, so we've got the Stan Lee and the Jack Kirby thing going. So supervillain might be like Ditko, Steve Ditko. So Stephanie Ditko, which is
Oh man, I'm liking this a lot.
by the way, we got about 3 minutes left on our time frame here. We got a lot done though. So Stephanie Ditko is the new girlfriend of her dad. She knows that she's trying to find her. So what's the superpowers of this arch nemesis?
They can actually draw hands and feet the appropriate size.
That is a superpower. I'm
That's a
not
superpower.
joking. That's definitely.
They could have supersized hands. That could be the power. Well, let's see if we were to.
No.
Well, let's see if there's a super fan. This is like the super stalker. What's something that would go with or what's the troll? The online troll or
She can produce props.
the gamer gator.
Yeah, Gamer Gator. She can produce props.
But do the powers have to coincide to be a villain?
They don't. No.
No.
But we can use that as a possible thing. So
Maybe she
Well,
can make
what
prop
boxes do we
there.
have to check off on our list even now that we're done?
We got. We'll cover that when we go to before with the lightning.
Okay.
Round. We'll right now we got most of it done.
So
Stephanie Ditko, Steve Ditko is most famous for making Spider-Man.
Mhm.
So it could be that she's got a spider theme.
She can control insects.
There you go.
Okay.
And she bugs people. Because if this character is effectively becoming me, so yeah, anything that's got bugs would be a thing.
Oh, you don't like bugs?
I hate bugs. Oh, I hate
Okay.
bugs.
And
So
she's got to be really fast so she can jump scare her.
Right.
Is there okay? So insect control, super speed,
and short range teleportation.
short range teleportation.
5 feet.
5 feet. So she just.
What's the name of this kid? This villain. This is
Linda.
Linda. So her name's Stephanie, but she's called Linda as a super Captain Linda.
Oh,
Captain Linda.
We got 50 seconds left, guys. We're running out of time here. But do we? Well, if it's a teleportation, what is it? Like a cicada? A super speed is like a fly of some sort. Like this is totally in the mode of like Spider-Man or a Ditko.
Well,
character.
real quickly, let's make sure that Lee Stan has the occupation of temp worker. Civilian.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Temp worker.
But when you have short-term attention,
you end up doing temp work a lot.
You excel at temp work.
What's
I
great
speak from experience.
There's a lot of different types of jobs that she could do too, and that would bring her into a lot of different situations.
Right.
That would
It's her involved.
So for Stephanie's super villain name, I'm thinking maybe the entomologist.
Entomologist. The entomologist.
Oh, it's canon. It's canon. The alarm went off. I don't know if you heard it.
We heard it.
We heard it.
Okay.
We couldn't miss it.
You triggered Guy's jump scare.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Well, guys. All right. Well, we got through our regulation period there. And the way that we do it on the show is we usually give ourselves a 2-minute lightning round for all the categories that we didn't do. Now, we actually flowed on this. We got a lot of these done. But ones that we did not do is we actually did not work out. I don't think we really maybe touched on a little bit, but the appearance, we didn't, and we didn't do it for either the heroic or the civilian thing. We've worked out background. We worked out psychology to a great degree. One thing that we like to do, just because I'm an old white guy, it's good to do.
I can't relate.
We do like a social significance or a social review kind of thing to make sure we're not to make sure that we're either addressing social issues in some positive way or at least not being negative with stereotypes and whatnot. So
right, that's kind of why I was trying to move away from actual fans, like using the deployable fans,
geeky fan stereotypes.
Since we have a character that is kind of stereotypical.
Asian. Yeah. Well, so this is
to avoid that.
What did we do? Yeah. We can't start yet until you start.
We don't want to start talking about that until the timer begins. But why don't we start?
Okay.
Why don't we go on here? This is the first lightning round. Oh, by the way, can I have one of you go ha 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 lightning round?
Want me to do it, Guy?
Yep.
Okay. Like in a high pitched voice, Dave.
Yeah.
Lightning round. It's sort of Joker-esque.
That's perfect. It's awesome.
Okay. So for social significance, do we really want to try to cram that into 2 minutes, or would that be a separate thing?
No, we should be able to do it with 2 minutes. But we've only got 2 things. We're going to do appearance, and we're going to do which covers heroic and civilian appearance, and then also we'll do this, and then we'll do another 2 minutes. See, we'll do 2 minutes for each category.
Oh, okay.
So it's not going to be too crammed in. So we're going to this is 2 minutes just to figure out the character's appearance. Starting now, we're on the clock. So, okay, so the fans, we already talked about that maybe being too stereotypical to make that.
What Guy was talking about was your stereotypical when geeks and nerds are made fun of is that they're overweight and such.
Oh,
I believe. So I was actually thinking of twisting it to say that her normal appearance, she's actually pretty athletic, but in order to throw people off, her disguise, she makes herself look more frumpy.
Yep, like she wears big T-shirts, usually big T-shirts with superhero motifs, and she likes to wear baggier pants and stuff like that. So, but
So she's kind of like,
generally it's geeky colored shirts and fun stuff like that. She's a super fan.
who's the biggest artist in the world right now? Who's known for wearing kind of loose clothing? What's her name? She did the "I'm the Bad Guy."
Oh, Billie Eilish.
Yeah, Billie Eilish, right there. So kind of wears that kind of baggy, kind of Billie Eilish type of thing, but with a really nerdy kind of thing going for it.
Really super nerdy,
and that's her way of kind of fitting in with that group.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Heroic, she should be completely different so that nobody recognizes her, with a mask or something very Batman-esque. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like, because I would think that, her thought would be she'd follow in the footsteps of Batman or Spider-Man.
Are we gonna have those hand fans, or is it gonna be like a
Well, that's what I was saying. That was
thing?
what I was saying that Troy, I think, misunderstood. She doesn't do the hand fan things because that is
stereotypical. Okay.
That's very stereotypical of a Chinese character of some sort. So, but I think she should have fans, like little, she can even have
spinning
portable fans like those. Yeah. Like fans, like
they don't look anywhere near as cool as the hand fans though.
They don't.
No, but that's part of what's humorous about the character.
Yeah, I guess I'm in disagreement on that, but that's okay.
Well, we're gonna leave that. Okay, we're gonna hold that off there because we also usually have like a 1 or a 2 minute overall review, so we can maybe come back to that. But let's talk to social significance right now, because that's what we actually are going into anyway. So 2 minutes on the clock, social significance. So let's talk about that. I mean, this is the thing. The hand fans are so ridiculously cool looking.
Well,
but it is stereotypical.
But there's an actual kung fu martial art that uses steel fans, and and so because it actually exists, it's not like it was just done for American movies and then stereotyped.
Here's the thing. We could take the stereo. Well, this is the thing. We could change it from Lee Li to Lee Leigh. So it's still a female, and then she's using the fans, and so then it's not. But then, of course, is that appropriating culture? I don't know. I don't know what we're worried about.
My biggest thing is, I think when you talk about appropriation, and when you talk about stereotyping, the thing is that it's not that, it's that, when we have like Asian Americans or people like that, they're just folks like the rest of the people. And it's like every time you portray an Asian American, you have to have them do karate, or you have to have them do.
You're right.
And so I was intentionally kind of going for, she doesn't do any martial arts. She doesn't do, because she's just that her thing is she's into superheroes. So she might, do things differently, building things that makes,
But the fan motif, though, I'd say visually, it is far cooler to build it around hand fans and that stuff than it is to have the spinning fans.
Well, wait, she's a fan. She should be American, because that's what cosplayers do. instead of.
So why don't we? So let's make it Ellie. Let's make it Leigh then. Yeah. And then she's a fan of Asian culture, and that's why she appropriates the stuff. Is that?
Yeah, well, appropriates would, I don't know. I mean, that gets a negative connotation, but yeah, go with it.
Okay.
I mean, I study Kendo. Am I appropriating the?
You're not. I don't. It's not. Yeah, but this is the. So okay, the alarm went off. So I think we came to a decision there. Is that okay?
I find it kind of interesting that rather than de-stereotype the Asian, we switched everything over so that she's not Asian and still gave her martial arts. So
the martial arts was the more important part, and then the question becomes, whose feelings are we hurting by representing it?
No, that's not that. I totally agree. I was just like trying to come up with a different thing than martial arts for her to have. That's all.
We got one more. It sounds like we have a little bit more to do. One more 2-minute general revision period, but then we're set. If we haven't got it, we're just going to be stuck with what we got. So, and then the fans have to decide for us. Okay, so all right, 2 minutes. We're on the clock. We can talk about anything about the character, but that seems to be the sticking point. So what do we want to do? Do we want this person to be American or Asian?
Well, one thing that we haven't touched on is the big thing, social awareness currently is, of course, the violence towards Asians is being more noticed. And the question coming up is it on the rise? Where, like, my personal opinion is it's always been bad. It's getting more exposure now, so it looks like it's more on the rise. Something does need to be done about it. So either way that we go with this character is going to be involved in that, because they're either a direct target of that or they're going to be a champion against it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
But so, that puts her back at Lee.
Well, no, I mean, she can be an American. I mean, if she's huge into the culture and the culture is being attacked, she's going to be at the forefront trying to stop the attack.
That makes sense.
So, okay, we need to make some. We got a minute left here. We need to make some decisions. So, so are we going to go with the hand fans, and that martial arts, the hand?
Well, the question comes down to how silly do you want to make it? Because I think if you took the martial arts style and just replaced it with desk fans, that you're getting on like the Tick level of comedy, which isn't bad, but that should be gone there intentionally.
That was where I was going from the very beginning.
Okay, well, we could be. That's up to, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Do you want to be silly, or do you want to be
we have
badass?
all of these bizarre bad guy things going on that is ridiculous anyway. I actually was totally on board with the idea of like desk fans and box fans and things like that.
I'll admit, visually, I think the hand fans are much, much cooler and more interesting than the propellers.
There's a reason why Mortal Kombat has that kind of character in it.
Then 2 against 1. I'm okay with that.
Okay, we're going to do
Democratic.
that. And I think, and we got champion against Asian discrimination. But this is going to be Lee Stan, Leigh, so an American. And that's the alarm, guys. That means we have a new superhero. Let's review real quick here. The fan we came up with, by the way, we started with the word anonymous. It's interesting where we went here, which means bearing the author's name. And we decided to do an homage to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and Marvel Comics. But the character's name is Superfan, civilian name Lee Stan, has skills. Well, the equipment that she has is she's got all these hand fan related gadgets, which allow her to create wind, to fly, to do bladed, as a bladed melee weapon. She can also generate power and an electrical field. She wears a mask and has the fans. She's athletic in her civilian life. She's athletic, but wears big T-shirts to fit in with baggier pants. She's a temp worker because she's got ADHD, and she actually knows computer science and design, but wasn't, because of her ADHD, she wasn't able to get into NASA. Her mother is her mom. Jacqueline Kirby is the person that helps realize her designs, because Jacqueline Kirby's an engineer, and she has divorced or been separated or whatever. Her father ran away, and Jacqueline Kirby told her that he ran away because he was a supervillain. But he's not. He's not actually a supervillain. However, by sheer happenstance, he is dating a supervillain who doesn't want Lee Stan to find him. And her arch nemesis there is Stephanie Ditko, the entomologist, who controls insects, has super speed and short range teleportation. But being a super fan of superheroes and villains, she has Lee Stan has an encyclopedic knowledge of superheroes and villains out there, and geeks out whenever she teams up or fights with them. But she's also a super fan of Asian culture and is a champion against Asian discrimination. So that's our superhero, guys.
Yeah, we did all that. We did all that in under 40 minutes.
Yeah, we just blew through that. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's an interesting? Do you think we came up with? This is the thing. Did we come up with an original superhero? Do you feel like this is different than most superheroes that are out there?
Well,
yeah. I mean,
I don't read nearly as many comics as I would need to say for sure, but I can say without a doubt, with my knowledge of what comics I do know of, I don't think I've encountered necessarily this kind of character.
Yeah, I feel like it's not a carbon copy, and I think that's something that we get every week at Heroic Origins podcast, is because we got this element of randomness in there, and we have multiple people designing the characters, that we come up with superheroes that are, they still look like superheroes, but they've got some interesting quirks and differences to them. So anyway.
Cool.
I want to invite everybody to check out. We're going to be launching season 2 on Monday. Which is, what is that, March 29th, and it's the Heroic Origins podcast.
And we'll put a link to the podcast on our Facebook page, so you'll be able to find it that way if you have trouble finding it any other way. And if I remember correctly, you are not only on SoundCloud, but you're on Spotify as well, I think.
We're not on SoundCloud right now. We are on
okay.
We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and a lot of other lesser known podcast platforms.
Spotify.
You can also go to Facebook.com. We are Heroic Origins on Facebook.com, Twitter, and Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that did occur to me is I recently went ahead and took the dive. I did this in 2 parts. I watched the Snyder cut of Justice League, which is over 4 hours. So I watched half, took a break, and a couple days later came back and watched the other half. I did really like how the Flash reacted around Batman. I'm not sure if you've seen either the original or the Snyder cut.
I saw the theatrical version. Yeah,
theatrical version. They added a bit more, but it's kind of the same thing. I like how he's like, oh, before you even ask, yes, I'm on the team. I need friends. and then when he gets the Batarang, he's like, can I keep this? So he fanned out over the other heroes. So I could see this character doing the same thing, ending up with someone else, and it's like, man, your costume's awesome.
The thing that I want to know is how, if you're a super fan of the villains, how does that play out? Because that's psychologically, it's like, I'm such a fan. It's so fun to beat you and capture you and turn you into the police. I mean, is that?
Well, the fan will be like, oh, I know that you're going to escape in a week because you always do this one trick and always get free. So, but I won't tell them because I know that's your thing.
I think it'd be funny if it was, I'm such a fan. Well, yeah, that's your name. No, I'm a fan of you. That's the ongoing joke.
Well, that's the fun thing, is coming up with the stories that go beyond that.
Yeah,
and that's something we're trying to figure out how to incorporate that into the show a little bit more.
Right.
This particular, the first season, we really kind of invented the characters without trying to do a story overall. By the end of it, we kind of tried to pull it together. This time, we're actually trying to build the story. We're trying to build each character into an ongoing story. So we brainstorm the character independently. Then at the end of the episode, we try to figure out how it fits into the overall story, which by the way is a robots versus alien scenario where the robots and aliens are fighting on Earth, and so our superheroes are trying to mitigate the destruction from this I guess interruptions and whatnot from this battle that's going on.
Well, the stereotype I'm finding out now in most of the Marvel and DC movies is there's got to be a gigantic CGI fight at the end with a big beam of light shooting up into the air for whatever reason.
So what's the opposite? What could we do? The opposite would be that it'd be underground and closed cavern.
Like the opposite, they talk their problems out.
Well, that's I suppose that's it. Yeah. But you would still be spelunking while you're doing it. You'd be spelunking.
They could James Kirk the robots by beating it with logic.
That's all these paradoxes. Yeah.
So I remember us talking about what to do with the characters before in a off camera thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not approach my group with this, but one of my ideas was, I'm part of a role-playing group, is seeing if they would be interested in playing pre-generated, because that's what they would be. They're pre-generated characters, and doing a role-playing session and having them play those characters. And then we just record the live session and try to make it something. For a role-playing game, we would try to make it somewhat short, like 2 or 3 hours, because role-playing sessions can take multiple sessions. This would be like we would want it to just be one encounter type thing, or like 2 small encounters and 1 big encounter.
And you mean like broadcast it?
Yeah, and like after
Yeah.
we record it, broadcast it.
I would
So-
love to do that. I think that would be awesome. I would be totally into that. And I think Terrence is into it too. Yeah, and it's just we're still getting our we're
this
still
would-
picking up the pieces from when we stopped recording back in oh boy, was it October, November?
Yeah, this would
So-
take it off your plate because I would just need to get like, I would take the characters that you would want it, and I would try to write them up within a gaming system, and then I'd review it with you and make sure I've got it accurate, and then I would pass those on and have the players just pick who they would want to play.
I would love that. I would love that. Yeah. So what, should I like write up character, like just sort of general character sheets for you to work with? And
Yeah,
or
like
did
it would be a combination of like what the powers and weaknesses are,
Uh-huh.
little things on their personality about that would be the role playing aspect of how the player would role play them.
yeah,
Type
because
thing.
we've been meaning to take like well, Terrence and I were both 80s Marvel junkies, right? So we want to create like those write-ups from the old official handbook to the Marvel Universe. Do you guys remember that? Did you ever
Was
see
it
those?
the Marvel Universe? Yeah, where it was from A to Z.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were just, it was an index and stuff. And they had a big picture, and then you'd have the name and the aliases and the
I've actually got
powers.
a giant binder of all of them that I think were color photocopied and printed that I inherited. So it's got a ton of those in it.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Because it's
Yeah.
3-hole punched, and I don't think they came out of the actual comics. So I think somebody just printed the whole thing, and it's like the entire A through Z characters.
Yeah. I mean, alternatively, Terrence and I were both big, huge fans of the Marvel role playing game back in the TSR's
Yeah.
Marvel role playing game from the 80s, and that was we could do character sheets like that and give them to you. That might even be, I don't know if that'd be easier or harder. That might actually be harder.
That'd be harder because that system, from what I remember of it, was all over the place
rough.
with the rules.
Yeah, it was.
And I'd want to keep it a simple system. I don't want to get bogged down too much into the rules and the character creation as much as the story that the characters come up with.
Well, so let me ask you here, Guy, where would you take this character? What kind of story do you think you'd and same for you, Troy.
So I've actually been kind of brewing on this a little bit because she sounds interesting enough. It was funny because in my head I can already see a scene where maybe she is Asian, and she comes up with the idea of the fans and everything like that, and then some character puts a lampshade on it, and says, "Wait, you mean you came up with fans?" And yeah, why? She's like, "Because you're Asian," and she's like, "So," and like it takes a second for it to sink in, That could be actually kind of interesting too. But yeah, I mean, I actually kind of think this would be a fun little comic to write.
I think it's a
I don't
whole
know if
new
I can
villain.
steal it from you and make a comic out of it.
Wait,
or not,
guys,
but-
I'll say this. This was a demo. This is my gift to you. I will let you two do whatever you want with it. Yeah, this is.
I think-
this is,
I
so
think
if
it
you
was
want to
a
write something, go for it.
Little short comic. I actually
I
wouldn't
think
mind
we
writing
need to
little
create a
comic.
new villain called the Doubter, and goes up to like the Silver Samurai and Iron Fist and does that. It's like, why are you doing this? You're just really messing up the stereotype. Iron Fist, really? You went off and studied with monks to learn kung fu? Do you realize what you're doing to the culture? And the Doubter just goes to all these different characters, like the Native American from
And
Justice
gives them
League.
self-doubt and like all of a
Yeah.
sudden like destabilizes
Like, why-
their like
it drains them of their power because it makes them feel bad about the inappropriateness of their character.
they lose their confidence.
And then we find out in a twist thing that's really why the Washington Redskins had to change their names, because the Doubter got in there and messed with them.
Interesting.
It's like, you guys have a really bad name. You need to change it. Like, you're right, we do. It's
The
really
Doubter.
bad.
Do
The Doubter.
Outer.
we got
turns out-
super villain now.
And it turns out he is really a hero all along.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because like I said, I don't know. I'd go for any fans on this one. It'd be still pretty
Yeah.
funny.
I think it'd be.
I was like
interesting, though,
figuring out she could have like little fans that she wears for flying that are just desk fans that for some reason ended up with enough power to lift her off the ground. So
those little handheld battery
she's-
ones that also spray water,
Right.
little misters.
yeah, she uses those to spray different chemicals and stuff like that. And there were all kinds of stuff that actually, in the end, I was like, it's actually not This could be fun.
It would be interesting though to have her think she's American and have her go through that whole doubting process and question the it's like, I love this culture, and where's the line drawn from making a bad stereotype versus participating in what, how do I still respect it and show honor but be a part of it and not and isolate myself from it,
which in and of itself could be an interesting story. I
mean,
mean,
story arc for that.
Very useful and interesting story. That'd be kind of cool.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, I guess the question is, one of the questions is, should you bring in a consultant? And I kind of feel like that's something we've been thinking about with some of the characters we've come up with, is not even necessarily on issues of social, review or reviews or significance or whatever, but also issues of like history. We have one character who is a time traveler from the 30s, from the Depression. And she's now living in modern America here during the COVID stuff, and that's built into the origin of the character. And I don't know if that would seem, they had epidemics certainly back then, more frequently probably than today. So I'm not sure exactly how out of question, beyond question COVID stuff. What's the best way to say it? I'm not sure how questionable today would be compared to then. And so we were thinking about, like, well, we may go forward, build a story, but we might want to bring in somebody who knows about the Depression and what people would be like and how they might adapt to the modern day. And so, we're, with a character like this, we might bring in somebody to help us work out some of the identity issues.
The Mindfeld. Yeah, that's a new. You just created another superhero, the consultant.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
yeah,
cool.
no, like I said, I could think of making a comic out of it. That'd be fun.
That would be cool.
Well, cool. Well, we're coming up on 3 minutes till the end. I think we've covered everything, and it was a lot of fun. This will be our special Friday night episode, out of schedule of our normal release, because we want to make sure people have time to go back and listen to season 1 of Heroic Origins podcast.
That's right.
Before they dive into season 2, that's coming out, as you said, on the 8th, I believe. Or no. The 29th.
The first, the first episode of season 2 is, it's due out on the 29th, and that's going to be more or less just kind of bringing everybody, tying everything together and talking about where we're going to go with season 2. The first brainstorm episode is going to be released on April 5th, and that'll be with special guest Troy Fleur.
Yep. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you once again for joining us, Dave.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was really fun, guys.
Cool. It was good to have you. Okay. Well, then that's all the time we've got for today, and we'll see you next week. I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
Wait, do you need to say something?
I want to say the slogan.
Oh.
Don't forget to geek out with Geek Tank. That's the slogan, right?
That's our slogan. Okay.
Now, for this episode.
For this episode, it is. Well, with that, then, I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And this is Geek Tank.
That was awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Why did it end?
Why did it end?
Let's try that again.